Other than that, my expectations are low, so I'm about to start recording. But so yeah, Kathryn, thanks for connecting and having this conversation with me. And again, like I've said to you before, I've always cherished your authentic self, and you tend to, as a coach and as a person, as a mom, you just wear your heart on your sleeve, and you always bring who you are to everything you do. And I think I always find that really refreshing. But as a coach in EEC, my first question to you as we unpack this, start us off, is what does effective effort mean to you, and how does that relate to the work you're doing as a coach?
Okay, so when I think of that term, first, I would say effort to me just means work, how hard you're working. But the thing is, everybody comes with a distinct set of strengths and weaknesses, a very unique learning profile. And sometimes working hard doesn't always mean success. But if you're going to work effectively, that means that you've been able to identify your strengths and your weaknesses. You've been able to hone in on what skills and strategies can be used to effectively mitigate challenges. So like you would use your strengths to mitigate challenges. Once you're able to do that, that's when I think you're using, effective effort. It's a more intentional, purposeful use of work. Like you had said at some point, it's work smarter, not harder. So that's kind of what I think it means. And it works really well when clients come to see, like, oh, wow, I've got all these strengths. And if I just work to those, sometimes I can work around these barriers and find the strategies that work far more effectively.
Yeah, so you came, and thank you for that answer. You came to us obviously with really well-informed personal background and a really well-informed professional background, and I'd love to hear and celebrate how those backgrounds really inform your passions and interests, and the kinds of clients that you really love to work with.
Yeah, so background, I was a biology teacher. I had a BS in biology, and then I went on to get a master's in secondary education. Taught biology, high school first, then middle school, then both, but all of it, and left to raise my kids. And, we'd always have these team meetings. Eventually ended up in a private school. I was public first, but then private. But, we'd have these team meetings, and you'd have all these psychological evaluations done. And this is earlier in my career. But, we'd be sitting there listening in the team meetings, and they weren't IEPs because it's private. And they'd be talking about working memory and executive functioning and all these things. And, it's all the jargon. And I would remember just looking around the room and seeing everybody staring the same way I was. It's like, yep. I have no idea what this guy's talking about. And you would just go and you'd implement the profile to your students and do the best you could to pull them along. Looking back, to jump ahead. So I end up with 2 children on IEPs, dyslexia, ADHD, some anxiety, and it gets messy, and I've navigated the IEP system, and I've had to advocate, and I've learned a ton, and we've had neuropsychs and all the stuff. And what really became a glaring reality was that there was a huge disconnect, a knowledge gap. Sorry, but a knowledge gap that existed between like what you get in that neuropsych and what some of the specialists or the admin know in the school system versus what the classroom teachers know and implement. And that gap is enormous. And so in that gap is where your children struggle. The teachers in the classroom don't understand how to ask what's getting in the way. They know sort of like intuitively how to teach these executive functioning skills just because that's what you do as a teacher, but they don't understand how to like really uncover it. Like, well, why can't you start? What is it? What's getting in the way? What's hard? Can you not get it onto paper? Is it a thought that you can't get to hear? It's like they really don't know how to ask those targeted questions. So it really drove a passion. I just started diving in. I was like, I want to know everything about this. and then I did some of my own studying, and I was learning so much through my own children. Then I came to you and I was like, boy, this is something I'd really like to do. And I gained even more knowledge through coming to this company. I have since gotten some certifications with ADHD. I have since, like, it's just blown up into this thing. Then I saw like this massive gap for women with ADHD, where 3 times as many boys are getting diagnosed than girls, just because of societal expectations, or girls are supposed to be quiet, but they're actually hyperactivity in their brain. And, like all this stuff is, hormonal changes, everything. It's so different. It can look very different. So that became my passion. So basically what's happened through this is that I've discovered, I'll work with anybody in any age, adolescent and up.
Right.
But what I'm really enjoying the most is college, or late teens and through adulthood women. I mean, I enjoy working with men as well, but it's just, I've got daughters, and it really speaks to me if I can help bridge a gap between, potential, like knowledge and potential, like taking them, bridge that gap.
Yeah, there's you really bring up a really resonating point, Kathryn, because there's it's the inattentive female that's undiagnosed, right? It's the ADHD inattentive profile,
right?
Which is also more complicated in treatment, but it's that child that gets ignored because they're not a squeaky wheel.
Or they look inattentive or quiet,
they look attentive.
and they're actually super hyperactive in their head. And so they're thinking about their day and what they're going to do next week and whatever's popping up in Google in front of them. They're not attending to what they're actually reading. So they'll like reread the same paragraph 12 times,
And that's the kind of client that you really find your passion for, right? And
I really
dial
like
in
it,
and I've, and I know this, you give it your all. And I think
I really enjoy it.
That's really a special trait. And I think, obviously your energy in this call and just the knowledge that you bring to these conversations, but also in general, you're going to continue to make a wonderful, powerful impact. And I talk about generational impact because the work we do with teenagers leads into, how those skills inform these teenagers as young adults, right? And as they start to form their own definition and meaning in their own life, they start to maybe make a family of their own, and how that starts to really impact another generation. I think that's really powerful. So a couple of fun questions for you, Kathryn. One is what makes you laugh?
British humor. Monty Python. I love British humor. I don't know. There's something about that accent that an American can't pull off. Like you could say the same thing as American, but you throw that accent in and it's automatically funny. I love.
An American can't pull off and probably doesn't want to pull off.
No. You could say the exact same thing and it'll be funny when somebody has that British accent. No, but I love British humor. I think it's hilarious.
That's funny. I wonder if my British brother-in-law would agree with you. But and what is one of your greatest pet peeves?
Oh my God. At the moment, cabinet doors in my house are left open all the time. Like, I don't know what it is, but if I walk into the house, there could be 8 doors open in the kitchen. And I'm like, why? Like drawers open, pulled out, open, just everything's open. It's like it's like out of sight, out of mind, like object permanence. I don't know what it is, but
oh my goodness,
if the doors aren't open, things don't exist. So I spend my time closing the doors.
I'm getting a flashback with your example. I grew up with 5, there was 5 of us, so 5 siblings in this family, and there would be some serious parental interventions when there was too many cabinets and drawers left open in the kitchen.
Nuts, I'm like, close the doors. I know it's stupid, awesome. But it drives me nuts.
Well, Kathryn, thank you for your time in this dialogue. I really, I can expect this type of conversation is really going to resonate really deeply with some teenagers out there and some females out there that could really use a coach in their corner that understands and has the empathy and the knowledge and the passion to help them. So thank you very much for everything you do. And thanks for your time here.
All right, thank you.